the two Oval Office spectacles, which were just grotesque.
Yeah.
The one with Zelensky and the one with Bukele. I mean, just for different reasons, those were um, just shocking, Banana Republic style pieces of, authoritarian communication that were, I mean, just signaled to the whole, again, I view this very much from the outside. I mean, the inside view is also galling and uh, should worry us. But when I just look at what we look like from abroad, again, both from friends and enemies. I mean, I think it should be of grave concern that Russia has gotten happier and happier every time they've contemplated this series of own goals we have scored on ourselves. And the communications from the Kremlin and on Russian television. I mean, like just after that Zelensky press conference, um, if Trump isn't a Russian asset, one wonders, how he could do a better impression of one, right? I mean, he's doing exactly what Putin would want. Um, yeah, I mean, the Bukele moment was just despicable for its own reasons. I mean, it was all right on the surface. You had the president kind of laughing over the fate of a man sent to effectively a gulag in El Salvador, who the administration admitted had been sent in error. Right now, maybe they're now backpedaling on that confession, but at the
But
time,
that lawyer
it
was
was
fired, by
acknowledged
the
by
way.
what was that?
That lawyer was fired, the one who
Oh, okay.
mistakenly
But
said the truth. Yeah.
at the time that he yet had not been denied, right? It was just everyone knew that he was sent in error, but it was still a an object of comedy for the president and the administration that he was there and no one had the authority to get him back. Um, I mean, it was just awful, and again, it's awful by virtue of the fact that we can no longer even pretend to hold the moral high ground. I mean, we're not on the side of democracies and open societies struggling to be free, right? We're patently not. We're on the side of authoritarians who we can cut a deal with. Um, it's uh, it's just very dark, and the fact that so many people, again, the kinds of people we've been mentioning here, don't seem to care about that. I mean, many of these people were um, very concerned about so-called authoritarianism, right? They're worried about the Twitter files. I mean, we're talking about there's a whole gaggle of red-pilled independent media voices on Substack and in podcasts and elsewhere who thought that the Twitter files was just the story of the decade, right? Joe Biden, his administration asking for, and it actually wasn't even his administration. He wasn't even in office at the time, but his campaign was asking for naked photos of Hunter Biden to be taken off of Twitter, um, and somehow that was just the most shocking Orwellian overreach of the U.S. government, and yet these are precisely the people who now don't bat an eye at people being disappeared into gulags without due process, and our allies being sold out and thrown into the maw of Russia. I mean, it's yeah, we've got a president and his rapacious family launching meme coins before the inauguration, which in addition to just grifting their credulous cult, they're creating a mechanism whereby opportunists and foreign agents can pay bribes, undetected to curry favor with the Trump regime. I mean, it is so corrupt. If you imagine Biden or much less Obama doing one hundredth of that, they would never stop talking about it right of center. And yet it's again, as you said, they've flooded the zone with so much shit that we can barely keep that in view. I mean, well, who is talking about the meme coin now? I mean, the meme coin, if it was the only thing he did, would have been such a shocking piece of evidence for the personal corruption of a sitting president that we should never have stopped talking about it. I mean, it should be impeachable. I mean, it's just unbelievable that
Well,
we're in this situation,
you're
and
also
it's an
leaving out
afterthought.
you're also leaving out the best part, which was recently that they announced that if the top 200 people on, I believe they said the leaderboard, which would be owners of the Trump
Uh-huh.
Memecoin, can come to the White House and have a dinner or a reception with the president. And if you
Mhm.
are in the top echelons, you have a smaller gathering at Mar-a-Lago or something. You're
Fantastic.
literally buying access through a meme
Yeah.
coin too. That's the weirdest thing, which has no utility whatsoever beyond making that family rich. Where does it end? I mean, in the sense that, like, I have seen already. I mean, Donald Trump's approval ratings in his first 100 days are the lowest of any president ever recorded. I mean,
Mm.
George W. Bush in 2000 was like 62%, 63%. He's hovering around 40. That's a pretty precipitous drop in the past month and a half or 2 months. People in the Republican Party are a few of them, stiffening their spines. Don Bacon. I mean, we saw the woman from who's the chief national security correspondent, I think, for Fox News today,
Mm.
tweeting and ripping Trump for giving everything to the Russians. And so there's literally these
Right.
little murmurs here and there. And I also think that, all this tariff talk, which is nothing but destructive, every economist on earth says this is not only chaotically implemented, it should never be implemented in the first place because it's just bad
Yeah.
economics. That's going to redound on people, then their phones get more expensive, their food gets more expensive. Like, it can't last forever, right? I mean, do you think that this flames out? Because maybe I'm wrong about this. I have always had a certain amount of trust in the American people to do the wrong thing and then right the course at some point.
Yeah, well, I think there's reason to hope that the corruption of this administration could be equaled or even exceeded by its incompetence, right? So, like, I mean, the tariff thing is quite a shocking own goal. I mean, I just there's every sign that this is not at all 4D chess. This is just him lurching around, uh, responding to signs of emergency in the bond market, and he's just, for whatever reason, he thinks tariffs are the most important thing in the world. And as I've said, there's only three economists I can find who agree with him, and two of them are Peter Navarro. So it's I mean, it's one can only hope that if there is an economic calamity as a result, in the stock market, or just inflation, or some combination of indices, that's the kind of feedback that will be undeniable, right? I mean, the problem with his personal corruption, the bribes that will be paid to him, um, the erosion of our civil liberties, the lack of due process in deportations, the unraveling of U.S. foreign policy, the gutting of scientific research, cuts of 50% or more to the National Science Foundation, um, cancer cures going undiscovered, et cetera. Like, the problem with all of that is that it's pretty invisible. You're like a kind of wonkish person who wants to pay attention to those things. At least half of our society is totally checked out there, and it's not going to notice any of that. They're going to hear, half truths spun up on Fox or social media that reframe all of that as just a left wing conspiracy. Um, or some kind of legacy of the Biden administration. I mean, there's no end to the lying that they're capable of. But the one thing you really can't lie about are things like the now much fabled price of eggs, or what's happening in the stock market, right? So if the stock market craters, or inflation goes nuts, or you get your mortgage is now going to be 10%. That feedback will be undeniable. And it's hard to hope for a recession or worse, but like I think that's really the only flavor of information that will arrest the attention of people right of center, who will be forced to realize, okay, whatever Trump's song and dance is today about this, I just spent $47 for a dozen of eggs. Um, that's not right. That's just that's going to be there has to be there's no way Biden is responsible for that. And then hopefully there'll be some political change.